Today we had a subject about the purpose of repetition or chanting in the practice of Dhamma. So by this, the first thing to make clear is that we are not referring to ritual chanting, such as the chanting in Pali that basically all Buddhist monks in every school do. We're not referring to using mantras, whether that's Butto, 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 or Aima, 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 or any other kind of mantra. Or Om. So the difference between the repetition that we use in Dhamma, or the repetition of subjects, or the use of keywords in Dhamma, I will explain what those are or how we use them in a moment, but the difference between these and the mantra or the chanting is that for one thing, when you are chanting in Pali, for example, for the vast majority of the time, the monks don't even understand what they're chanting. So it means that whatever words they're chanting could basically be replaced by any other words, and it would have the same effect, or it doesn't change anything. Or else it means that they must believe that these particular sounds that they're making have some kind of particular power, which is obviously not in accordance with what the Buddha taught. Sounds don't have power to make you good or bad. With regard to mantras, it has been said by several very respected Buddhist monks in the use of mantras, such as the use of the mantra Butto, or Samma Arahan, or there are several different mantras that are used. They say specifically that it doesn't matter what word we use, because the purpose is just to calm the mind. So we could use the word Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola if we wanted. And it would have the same effect. But whatever effect this will have, it's sure that there is no wisdom that is going to arise out of just repeating the word Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, or Butto, or any other word. So this is not what we mean by repetition. So now, what do we actually mean by repetition? There are two parts to this. The first part is using just like a keyword to remind ourselves throughout the day or at any time to look into the mind and to bring the mind back from being busy outside in whatever subject it was in. So it's to use a word to train the mind to, when you bring this word back to the mind, you look and you watch inside instead of being outside busy in whatever subject you are in. So this could be the word just present. Present, are you present? Or it could be the word, phrase useful, useless. Useful, useless. What you're doing, is it useful, is it useless? Look. Or where is self? Where am I? Look inside. So all of these refer to an idea or something that you have to have understood in the beginning. What does it mean to be present? What does it mean, where is self? How do I look inside? But once you have understood this and practiced it a little bit, now the word is really just used as a training tool, a tool to bring the mind back until it starts to come back by itself without needing to artificially do it by the use of a word. So that's the first function of the repetition, if you like, of a keyword to bring a key idea to the mind in Dhamma. The second way that we use repetition is more in terms of the repetition of discussion of subjects in Dhamma. So it means to discuss often, to repeat the subjects that we have learned, to discuss them, to repeat how we understand them, to ask each other what we have understood in whatever subjects that we need to know in Dhamma or in whatever we are learning. The main purpose of this is to deepen our understanding, to allow our understanding to deepen and grow, because even if we think we have understood the subject at one time, we may have understood it at a certain level or intellectually kind of understood, but it doesn't mean we have really deeply seen what it means and understood what it means. we have to try to understand it for ourselves and not only learn the words. It's not about memorizing or being able to just repeat the words from memory. It's about being able to understand the subject ourselves and eventually so that we may be able to really deeply see it for ourselves and experience the truth of it. And one example Ajahn was giving about this is that every time we repeat a subject, either whenever we're repeating a subject and explaining it to somebody else, or when we are listening to somebody explain a subject to us, it's as if we are drilling a well to bring the water to the surface. So we may have talked about this subject before, we may kind of have understood it in the back of our minds, but now we want to bring it to the surface of our minds, to look at it, to see it, with the purpose of being able to touch it for ourselves, to drink from the water of the well. In Dhamma, it's very important to understand that the nature of the study that we do is not like studying a degree in university, studying things to memorize them, to like store them somewhere so that we can write them down on a piece of paper later. It's not like that. The study that we do is always present, the study of the present, in the present. So if we have talked about a subject at some point or had somebody explain it to us or read it about it at one time and, oh yeah, I understood, that's useless to us in the present moment if we don't understand it right then at the present moment. So for example, we can understand in theory, that's to take a very basic thing, we can understand in theory the fact that everybody has to die and we don't know when we will die. We all know this in theory and we all can understand this idea in theory, and yet if somebody who is close to us gets killed suddenly in a car crash and we are shocked and dismayed and sad, it's of no use to us at that point, this idea that we understood some time ago. We don't remember it and we don't see it in that way at that time. Because if we really understood that everybody has to die, everybody will die at some point, everybody is impermanent, then we would not be shocked when somebody dies. And we wouldn't see any reason to feel sad about this or to be in grief over this because it's just the natural thing that had to happen. But when we don't see it like this, it's because we didn't understand. So the purpose of repeating, as I said in Dhamma, is to bring the subject to a level where we understand it and we bring this understanding with us continually. We see it in the present moment. And here I should also just mention that the one who has truly understood and seen for himself the truth of the Dhamma is the one who is, we don't like to use the word enlightenment because it's used in so many corrupt forms, but he's the one who has seen Dhamma, who is, we say either Sotapanna, Sagadagami, Anagami, there are different levels, but he has seen Dhamma for himself, so he doesn't ever lose it, he cannot lose it. And for everybody else, as long as you are not at this point, it means that you can't say that I understood, so I don't need to repeat or I don't need to go and look at the subject again. Whatever we understood once in the past, we can call it old newspaper. Nobody reads the newspapers of yesterday, of 10 years ago. You want to read the newspaper of today, what's going on now. So to sum up, repetition in Dhamma does not mean mantra and it does not mean chanting with no understanding. It means using key words to remind ourselves of our true job and to not allow ourselves to get lost in the subject of whatever we're doing or whatever we are thinking. And it also means to repeat the subjects that we have to understand in order to deepen our understanding and to bring up the subject to the surface of our mind, so that one day we can carry it with us always.